Make sure everything's correct.
Guys, you ready?
Yep.
Are you ready, Brad? Oh, we gotta turn on that. Shoot. Brett, do you know how to turn on that microphone? Hello, Mr. Millies.
Hello.
We're just waiting for YouTube. Fix your hair, Dylan. God, you got it.
It took him an hour to get it to look that way. Yeah.
No, I just took a shower.
Linda,
I
can
was
you
working
turn on
out in
that
the
mic?
yard all day, and then
Linda,
Run
it
out
was
of
like
time.
4
somebody turn
o'clock.
on
And
Son.
Put the top one up. I didn't realize it was like.
That's the bottom one.
maybe 11's not on. It's 11.
Start singing the national anthem.
Oh, it works. It works.
YouTube just went, oh my God.
I think so.
We're having technical difficulties. The green light, that one's on. It's on, it's running. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you got your moment of silence in there, guys. What I'd like to do right now is ask if there's any public comments. Any public comments? There are no public comments. I note that for the record, Brad. Excuse me, Brad, could you do the roll call? I am here and the open meeting compliance.
President Shu is present. Trustee Solani.
Present.
Trustee Finch.
Present.
Trustee Newman.
present.
Trustee Millies.
Here.
This meeting was noticed and posted according to law.
Perfect. Thank you, Brad. Once again, public comments? No public comments? Okay. I'm going to move into a motion to reconsider the motion that was made on June 26, 2023, to approve the bartender operator license for the 2-year term from 2023 to 2024 for John Freeman, Peter Limbros, Dan Millies, Alexa Rezka, Cole Strobel, and Betsy Weiss. I'll make that motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion seconded by Trustee Solani. Discussion, the only reason we're discussing it is there was a slight error on one of the applicants. So we're going to reconsider this motion and then redo it.
Okay.
Does that sound good, gentlemen? Any discussion that's on the motion on the floor? Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
abstain.
Oh, we'll note for the record that Trustee Millies is abstaining. And the next agenda item is we're going to approve, we're going to consider the approval of those licenses, but for our existing policy, Mr. Millies, could you come forward and we always have a standing policy, and that's something, we might want to consider at some point. Anything that's on a license, you could have beat up a dog, or, I don't want anybody to think that, Mr. Millies is here for a felony or anything, but
No.
anything that's on a license, those applicants have come before the board, and if the board has any questions whatsoever, you can absolutely ask. And I know Jeff will note for the record that you're abstaining from discussion on this.
Okay.
Is there any, the correct information was put in your packet, and and Mr. Millies has been here year after year after year, but is there any questions from the board before we move on to the motion that's on the floor? No motion. Mr. Millies, is there anything that you'd like to say?
Maybe put a time limit on how many years back you look at these type of offenses and bring me in again and again.
Yeah, what we'll do, Mr. Millies, is bring it back to staff, and then discuss it and come up with, some type of, but you have been here, since a long time.
Whenever it occurred.
Right, right.
And whether it's 10 years or pick a number.
Right, right. Yep, so, like I said, we'll bring it up at staff, gentlemen, if that's good with you. So at this point, I'd like to make a motion to approve all the bartenders' licenses that I stated that their names are on the agenda for the 2023, 2024 operating year. Is there a motion to that effect? Is there a second to my motion?
I'll do that.
Thank you, Supervisor Solani. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Millies. You have a good night, and we'll get back to you on that. Gentlemen, I just want to let you know, Dan, you're good to go. We do not have to void the invoice. That was an error on the agenda, but when Mr. Alex comes in, we'll come back to that agenda item. Gentlemen, Andrew Stoley is here from the Village of Waukesha. Do you want to do a deviation to hear his item? Or do you want to continue on through the agenda? It's up to
What
you.
about the officer?
That's Mr. Stoley. He's the gentleman on the agenda. He's the last one on the agenda.
We can deviate.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay, we'll wait.
Okay.
We'll wait, chief. Got it. Okay, so in your packet, just for your information, I put January through December of 2022 with the understanding the chief and Brad and I met on Wednesday. So there's some changes. There were some things that were in his budget that were incorrect, so there's going to be changes there. And then we ran for you January to June of what we have in the system so far. You know, I just wanted to let you know, why that was in, and we're really behind the times. So what I'd like, Jim.
I'm sorry. Did you mean there would be changes in his budget or changes in the report?
There'll be changes in his report, and what I'd like to do is actually show you the areas that were coded incorrectly, because I'd like you to see that. I think it's important for you to see, and what I'd also like to do is have the board consider, after the 20th, I'd like to have like I'd like to have a finance board meeting during the day to kind of go through a few things, when it's convenient for the board and we have a full finance committee. Like I said, I've been talking with Tom Tomasek, who's served on finance for, oh my God.
Ever?
Yeah. And he'd like to come and speak with the board also. And I purposely did not put myself on the committee, and Tom is not appointed at this point, because otherwise that would have been a violation of the open meetings law. Right. So, like I said, I'd like to do it after the 20th. I'd like to ask the board if they could look at a date that would work for the board and have a board finance committee meeting to, discuss, a bunch of issues related to finance. Does that sound good to the board? Does that sound okay? Okay.
I don't know, I'd like to address this issue a little bit more.
Okay.
Here we are, July,
Right.
7th month of the year. We still don't have 2022 numbers done and to the auditor. That is completely unacceptable. Here we are, 6 months later, I still have not seen a budget for this year or where we stand financially, how much money we spent. Brad, that's incompetency on your part. This should be taken care of long time ago. I mean, any other business would be not acceptable.
We're doing our best to.
No, this is not doing your best. This is just plain outright ridiculously poor management of time or something. Because these numbers we should have. 2022 should have been done a long time ago. And why we don't have any 2023 numbers is completely unacceptable too also. I mean, something's got to change.
We can try our best. That's what we're doing. I mean,
I don't know if it's your fault, treasurer's fault, but this is just unacceptable. Pretty soon I'm going to say we don't spend any money till we have numbers and shut the town and the village down because we can't keep operating like this. I don't know any business who would operate like this.
but we'll do our best to get the numbers done. I mean, they're not going to get done overnight, but I mean,
Well, I've been asking them since I've been on the board. That was back in April.
And Jeff, when you said the budget, you're looking for 2023 and 22? Because I'm sure Brad.
Well,
could email.
22 should be at the auditors and finished already.
Oh, yeah, but what,
But
you also want 23.
2023, yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
I thought I gave everybody a copy of the budget in one of those first meetings that we had. I mean, I'm more than happy, I'll reprint a copy for everybody and send everybody a copy of it. I
But then
thought
we
I
have
sh-
no idea where we stand financially. We don't know how much has been spent in each category.
We do, when I ran the January till June, all the APs are in there.
Yeah.
There, so you can see what the expenditures
Yeah.
are. You know what we should probably do too, is right now, we're just about done with January, and we're plugging along on that.
Yeah.
We're just about done with January, and it's taking us about, I'd say 10 days,
10 days per month. I mean,
So-
we're kind of on track of where we said.
Brad's going to concentrate on getting that stuff to the auditor. I'm doing the bank recs instead of sending it to that auditor for $7,000. I'm getting them done. Brad and Karen are working on the reconciliation. So, like I said, that's, we are plugging on. I would like Brad to concentrate on getting as much stuff to the auditor as he can. Correct?
Yeah,
Brad?
that's my goal this week, is to have everything, or try to get as much to the auditor this week as possible, which I think is doable. I mean, that's what we've been working on, along with reconciliations.
Yeah.
So,
And I did send an email to the auditor. If there's any reports I can run for her, because Brad's not used to that system, I'll run. And I did, just so the board knows, I passworded her into ACS. So she can get in there and look at anything. She can't do anything, but she can look at, everything. We ordered all the transactions from 2020-22. Brad's got that to her. So, I mean, she's just starting to get stuff. I understand your frustration, Jeff. I'm sure.
Is it the current software that is unusable,
yeah.
or is it, that's why I'm switching to work
When I
orders,
came
or-
here, I had no experience on the software. I've had no training on it. It's all been kind of trial by fire to figure out how to use the software. So, I mean, that is part of the issue. So, there's only so much we can do. But like Karen said, I think we've been getting, every 10 days we've been getting 1 month done, with the hope of having all this kind of rectified middle to end of August. So
Yeah, so if the board doesn't mind, my focus would be Brad to get as much to the auditor as he can, so she can get going on that audit, because she's gonna have to amend our statement, our Form C that went to the state in May. But, not that it's gonna make the board feel any better, but when I was concerned also and talked to the auditing firm, and he said that there's 75 clerks missing from municipalities throughout the state of Wisconsin. So Vernon's not alone, because my concern was filing a Form C that's incorrect. But he had said they have all intentions of, making sure, once they finish the audit, amending that and putting the exact numbers in. And then, just for our sake, because I know they're transitioning into the new software, what I'm gonna do is run a bunch of reports on the software that we're leaving, so we'll have that for forever, because, once we're done, the only thing is we'll have to keep this one running, because that auditor, when they do the 2020-23, is gonna have to use both systems.
there's no statutory requirement for us we're statutorily not necessarily required to do an audit by state statutes. Our bonding may require us, or highly suggests that we do an audit. So there's nothing there. Like Karen said, Form C is the big report that the state looks at, and that's how they compile data on how people are spending and things of that nature. That's always due May 15th or May 30th. And that's where if you don't submit that on time, then that starts to jeopardize revenue that you receive from the state. And so by submitting that, even though it may not have been complete or accurate at the time, it doesn't jeopardize, and that's what we did, so that was there. So
So does it look like you're gonna be done in August with all this?
that's the goal.
Okay,
So,
because I was kind of wondering when this is all gonna get done too, it's just
so like Karen said, you guys you can see where all the APs are entered, so you can see all that. So
Yeah.
there's not, the big thing is it's just not reconciled out. So there
Right.
may be small changes, things like that, but you can see what's
What's
going
going
in and
in,
what's
yeah.
what's coming in, what's going out.
And the bad thing too with and we're not on a cash basis, we're on an accrual basis, so there's things that are spent in January that apply to 2022. I mean, there's some adjusting, that has to be done with the books. I know when we did our audits previously, Howard would go to, as far as April, and look at LifeQuest, because right now, when you look at December, it's like $175,000 in ambulance revenue, which is way, way low. But I know the new auditor will look at those reports and back out 2022 funds that belong in 2022. So if you could just, I know it's horrible, Jeff.
That's kind of normal from past.
Yeah, right.
All that medical stuff is delayed billing.
Health insurance is always paid 1 month at a time. Life insurance is ahead of time. So there's going to be some entries, but your June numbers are pretty close. You're not going to see massive changes there. And the only thing I haven't figured, and I haven't had time, is to look at, the 400,000 we've gotten ARPA funds, hasn't been spent. The other 400, there's $800,000 in ARPA funds we haven't even touched. The bond money has to be moved, but that's what I'd like to go through when we're sitting down, and because Tom would like to be here, Tom Tomasek, and out of respect for Tom, I know he's at the casino tonight and couldn't make the meeting. But he's a very dedicated man. So if that's okay, Jeff, I know Brad's he's gonna email you those two budget items. And then, like I said, gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind till we get the other appointments on the 20th, look after that date to do a day meeting with Tom and the whole gang, and we'll go through but things are being exited, I promise you.
Okay.
Sound good? Okay, gentlemen, I don't think we have to do any more with the audit because we went through those items. And Brad, I don't know if you want to do a report. You're in the process now of transitioning from ACS to Workhorse. They've done their first payroll, right, Brad?
Yes, first payroll went through everybody, all the staff should see their paychecks show up overnight tonight. I know mine's pending in my bank account. You guys will see it. Next payroll when you guys get paid. Knock on wood, we haven't had any glitches so far, so everything went good. Next week we'll start APs, and then APs will be next meeting. APs will show be from Workhorse, so that will be the first time. Those reports, what you'll see, a check register report that you guys have had before, the detail, very similar. So that's where we're at, and everything should be, pretty much good to go. By the end of the month, have everything up and running. And then once we have everything reconciled, put beginning balances in, and we can have everything for you guys right there, like I said, in the middle of August as a whole.
Okay.
I had a question on the Workhorse stuff. I listened to that January 5th video. Is all the information being stored on our server then? So if the place burns down, do we have a backup anywhere
Yeah.
offsite?
That's the first thing we asked Howard. Excuse me, Ron. Is it's backed up on a server and it's backed up on another server.
Okay.
Our entire server is backed up, is the idea.
And on the cloud also. That's really important, right, Jim? C&D.
One follow-up.
They're not
on-
here. I didn't want to, Meister Alex, he's not here. And C, I did announce that on C, we don't have to void anything. That was just something that went out incorrectly. But, I mean, he's paid up. So when he comes, he just wants to dispute his charges. Jim?
One follow-up on Workhorse. On the prior system, we had, I'm going to say it, I think at least 3 of the board members that had access to the system, view only, but that way if you had questions on something, you could just look on the system. Are we going to be able to have that in Workhorse? Not right now, but
We can work on getting, I talked to Ron a little bit about that, because the fire, access for the fire chief, and we can work on trying to find a way for you guys. I mean, what we can do is we can put it on your computers, no problem. If you come here, you can pull it up on your computer, no issue. We can work to try to find a way to get in from home.
Yeah, because Big Bend, I call the girls in Big Bend, and they log into their computer, from their home. They remote into their actual computer, but we don't have computers here. But there's gotta be. It's not cloud-based, but it's
What
got,
do you mean we don't have computers here?
ours aren't hooked up to the server.
Well, yes, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Kelly said, is
Yeah.
they log in.
If we have a remote, like, I have a remote login where I can log into my computer here at the office, we can talk to Ron about setting up a VPN to get in.
Yeah, I don't know that any of the other board members want it,
I do.
you know. But I think it's something that we should at least make available. Okay. As long as it's in, you know, the back of your minds.
Do you gentlemen mind if I ask one question? How do you guys like it? You-
I load the whole system up to 6 years.
Do you think it's just a matter of getting used to a new system, or?
It would be nice if we have a manual to, I know Brad's got one from Johnson Creek, he's making notes on, but in the meantime, we need people to virtual one. And we got rid of notes and we're like, what, okay, we can make sure that we're comparing our notes, but it'd be nice if we have something in writing to help us guide us through, like right away, and then just our notes and then we kind of, now we do kind of thing.
Brad, do they have any YouTube videos on it?
They have a whole, just like ACS has the, I mean, it's not necessarily manual, but they have help pages like Microsoft has on their, you know, software, things like that. I think they have some YouTube videos too, things like that, so.
But you have the books, right?
They're not books, they're
Man-
manuals that other communities have made on how to do payroll, and things like payroll specifically.
But nothing on APs or,
They're not, nothing on APs, but the thing is, they start to use the software, it's gonna be much like how ACS is, it's just a matter of putting, you know, just learning the new stuff, and it's changed, it's changed for everybody, so it's gonna take time, but all financial software is very much similar at the end of the day, just like your Word program on Microsoft is similar to Apple's and everything else, so this takes time.
how'd you like your first payroll, Sue?
It was different. Everybody got paid.
That's the most important. I'm kidding.
So you used Workhorse before and very familiar with it.
Yeah, and two other, I implemented in Big Bend and implemented in Johnson Creek.
So why didn't we implement it
Yeah, what-
earlier in the year?
Just, I think like we said before, just to get it up and going, because we would have waited then another, 12, 6 months from now to start implementing. We're getting it going now.
Well, I'm saying the
yeah, why didn't
board
you do?
approved it back in January, why did you start it in March or something?
We could have started in March, but I think of mid-year is better, because then you have half here and then half in the other where you're doing a quarter and other, so that's where it kind of came out, came down to, timing, we were talking with Workhorse, and, it just kind of worked out well to do it mid-year, we wouldn't be able to get anything for, January 1 of this year, but, and then you get that April 1 timeline, you have elections going on and other stuff, so it gets to be kind of chaotic, and with everything we can do, it's just, let's try to get stuff settled down.
Other questions, gentlemen? There's no board action needed, because Brad, I did talk to
Okay.
a couple of their techie guys, today too, because I wanted to understand what I'm sorry.
One more comment. Brad talked about having one computer on each counter space by us. And you know how small our counter is to begin with. And the only time we really get busy is like for dog licenses, like in December and January. But now the whole system will be different because we're all going to be doing payables, receivables, and everything. We're like, right now, we don't all do it kind of thing. So who's there at the windows going to do payables, receivables, whatever, when they come to the door, and the next day someone's going to balance it out like a cash drawer, he was saying. And we would rather do it at night, spend the next money and computers on the counter where we're so tight for space. Why can't we just do it at our own desk like we are right now, kind of?
We've talked about it, nothing's been set in stone yet, so it's one of those things that, I think if you go to Big Ben's office, you see they have a computer at the counter with a cash drawer.
They have cash on the they have,
Yeah,
really, right on their counter?
well, in a cash drawer like at, the cash drawer at McDonald's and stuff like that.
Oh, behind the counter.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, wow.
Under the
Yeah,
counter.
you're good. Yeah, I stop in there once a day and
But the other thing too, he said is that he wants everything for the current month to be in the list of paying, like if they're, let's say it's on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Now, if Karen Ray's not gonna do it on Tuesday or Wednesday, he wants one of us girls to go to the bank with a deposit. And that's not our job, we're not the treasurer.
So with the new system, we're having cash receiving, which is just like going to any store where if somebody comes in, if Karen comes in for a dog license, we're entering into the system right away, have a cash drawer, so that it's being recorded in the system where now it's being put in a drawer in the file cabinet and then entered as a deposit at the end of the week, where if we're entering it daily and as it comes in, you know, we haven't had issues with losing stuff in the past, but then we know it's accounted for, it's in the system, we're tracking it, it's in there.
We never lost, no offense, but
Yeah,
we've never lost anything.
That's what I said, but I mean, it's one of those things where it automatically gets put in, it's,
How do you do building permits?
we'll talk to them and they'll explain to us how to do it. I mean, we're no different than, Big Bend or.
Because Vince will have permits that sit for weeks.
So-
Weeks.
I'm in May right now, this is July.
Yeah, so, I
He's not done
mean,
with
it won't be, so Vince's, you know, we're not changing Vince's process in terms of getting money from Vince and then giving him the permit. That process will remain the same, but being able to enter it will be no different than how Big Bend operates in Johnson Creek, because they both use Vince's company for building permits and do it the exact same.
Point of order. None of this is on the agenda.
Workhorse software and implementation.
We're not talking implementation. Right now, it's how these people are working in the office, not on the agenda.
All right, any other,
I had a question with Workhorse. Who knows how to operate, who's gonna operate it? Is it something everybody in the office is gonna be doing, or just a certain person,
I
or?
want all the staff in the office to be able to operate the workhorse, but necessarily that doesn't mean that they're all going to be doing the same tasks with the workforce on a regular basis. I think cash receipting, everybody needs to understand that to be able to enter stuff into the system. And that's where, as they were talking about, if we have a cash drawer, if I'm putting stuff in, entering stuff in the system today, when, you know, Sue comes in tomorrow, she balances the drawer to create an internal control to make sure the drawer balances. But when it comes down to APs and payroll and the other stuff, the segregation of duties, that will still be a process within. So we're not going to be delegating all four of us entering APs. There'll still be, you know, try Linda, because that's traditionally been her role, to enter APs. Sue's traditionally done payroll. So we're not looking to do it, but it's more of the cohesiveness and contingency that, you know, somebody's sick, somebody retires, we kind of have a seamless transition so that it's there, you know, people can go on vacation and it's not how are we gonna get payroll done or how are we gonna do this. That's my goal of this and training everybody.
Makes sense.
we good to go, guys? Does anybody have an issue deviating from the agenda to hear item number O, request from the Village of Waukesha to use Village of Vernon ambulance? Is there any
what?
objection?
For what?
The
I
Village,
have one.
number O, it is a request from the Village of Waukesha to use a Village of Vernon ambulance.
Oh, yeah, sure, okay.
Chiefs, would you like to come forward? Gentlemen obviously know Chief Alex Feldy and Stoley, excuse me, Andrew Stoley. Is it Assistant Chief or Acting Chief from the,
So, my name's Andrew Stoller, Stoley's calls me. So currently I'm right now the Assistant Chief for the Village of Waukesha. We don't have a chief, so default I'm the acting chief.
well, have a seat, Stoley. So I don't know who wants to start.
So I'll just what kind of brought this up, in the Village of Waukesha, we normally have 2 ambulances. We had an issue with our main frontline ambulance where the parking brake doesn't work anymore, so we couldn't pass our state inspection to run it. We sent it to the shop to get repaired, come to find out that that part is obsolete because it's a 2003 chassis. And then, if we can get that fixed, then we have to go get some oxygen fixed. So right now, we can't run that ambulance, and we're down to one ambulance. We do have 2 new ambulances on order. The first one we ordered back in March of last year. We still don't know exactly when that's coming in with all this Ford supply chain issues, is what everyone wants to call it. So we're hoping it comes in just sporadically one day, but we don't know exactly when. So our main ambulance that's been down is been out of service for about 3 weeks now, because we thought we were working with the dealer, we're trying to find parts. And we're kind of at that point where we had to pull it out of the dealership to be like, all right, we're gonna continue looking, we're gonna look at some other shops and stuff like that. So just to leave us with one ambulance, you know, we've been able to get by or call mutual aid if we've needed to, but just to have that secondary ambulance in case we get any secondary requests, or if we need to, you know, come down here and help for any other calls here. I had worked with Foster Coach, which is the same company Vernon has bought the ambulance from, that's who we ordered from, to try to get a loaner from them. They don't have any available right now because of all these backups in just getting chassis. So Chief Elliott had mentioned the possibility of this potentially happening because of the extra ambulance that Vernon has. I did follow up with our insurance company. Our insurance company did say that if we have to borrow an apparatus from another department, vendor, or anything like that, it's covered with no other exchange of paperwork or anything like that if we don't need to, for 6 months. And at the 6-month mark, we have to go to the insurance company and probably between both municipalities and kind of see how they want to either put it on the schedule, is what the insurance agent said. But otherwise, the insurance covers it up to $1 million or whatever your insurance agency would, or your insurance company would pay. So that's kind of when we were like, oh, well, maybe this is more of a possibility, knowing that our insurance will cover it. So that was kind of where everything's at right now in our situation in the village of Waukesha. And just trying to get something in place so we have a secondary, because I know last weekend we had an issue with our Friday night, Saturday morning, we had an issue with our secondary ambulance where the alternators went down. I luckily was able to get a mechanic out there at 9 p.m. And he looked at it, and it's not the best of shape ambulance either. And he said, let's wait till Saturday morning, because if something breaks, we can at least get a part. You know, because we were working on, looking into a holiday weekend. We weren't sure if we were gonna get parts and stuff like that. So that's kind of one thing that was really like, all right, we kind of need to move a little bit more on this, if possible, from the village of Waukesha's perspective. So that's when I kind of, got everything moving on our end to relay to Chief Belby and go from there.
I just wanted to state, just so you gentlemen know, Stoli works for our fire department also. Andrew, did you talk to your village board? Are they aware of your situation with the ambulances?
Not yet, because if you guys aren't in favor of it, then they don't. I mean, they have an idea that our ambulances are old, and that's why they approved to buy 2 of them. But again, and they know that there's delays and everything like that. But if you allow us to borrow it, then yeah, whatever your conditions are, I'll go to them. Kind of have that, have all that information as possibilities before.
So one of the reasons that this discussion came up was that we, as you are aware, we have an agreement with Waterford where we share a piece of fire apparatus. A little bit of a different situation, but last week Saturday, one of our neighbors who we utilized for automatic aid had no ambulance available because of mechanical issues. We have a 4th ambulance right now that we currently are maintaining reserve status. For us to loan that to them would be no impact to the village of Vernon. We could work out an agreement with maintenance, and obviously any type of issue with any type of damage or insurance or anything like that, we would have that established ahead of time. The process or the philosophy of sharing apparatus, I think, is something that needs to be a little bit more looked at. There's a lot of departments that are starting to share apparatus because just the cost is just, as you guys know, it's just astronomical now. Their 2 ambulances are on order. They're probably not gonna be here for a while yet. The probability of them having another mechanical failure is there. We're lucky that we were ahead of that curve. The board was very proactive. About a year and a half ago, when we approached you and said, hey, we need to buy an ambulance because of what we think is gonna transition in the market. It saved the community, plus in the neighborhood about $100,000 in terms of price increases that we're there now. So we have a spare ambulance because of that. We can work out an agreement where we can share some costs for maintaining that vehicle in the short term, I think. It also then ensures that we have close mutual aid ambulance that's available, because if they don't have a second ambulance, they're gonna have to take the pass on coming to us for a second ambulance or a third ambulance if we have a multiple call situation or a car accident where we need more resources. So it does benefit us from the standpoint that our neighbors are now prepared to still help us. We do a lot with each other already. We share resources in terms of automatic aid. I think this is just another good bridge and transition to helping our neighbors out. I think moving forward, we need to be looking at this from a more regional concept to look at sharing reserve apparatus. And this might not be a bad litmus test to see how it goes between the 2 communities. We share people already, so there are times when people that are driving that vehicle for Waukesha are also Vernon employees. So there's a lot of familiarity with the equipment, and I think that it creates a good environment so that we're all able to respond to calls. It's a very low impact to us in terms of financial impact. We have the vehicle there. If we can develop some type of cost sharing formula that will have Village of Waukesha pay up some of the maintenance and upkeep, things like that, I think it's something that'll benefit both communities.
Chief Stilley especially. In the spirit of shared services, which I don't know how much you're aware of shared services, myself and Dylan is on the shared service committee. I, in the past president, spent a fair amount of time the last 2 years trying to talk to your administration, let's say, about shared services, even all the way up to and including joining forces. But this would be an example of our willingness to get involved with shared services with our additional. I know you guys are already working together. So for the benefit of the other guys, I'd be all in favor, as long as Chief Feldy here says it's not going to adversely impact us where we would be short. You know, that then we'd have a serious issue to deal with. But here, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't, personally. That's just my cut on it. But I'd like you to consider shared services.
Trustee Newman?
I absolutely agree. I don't see any issue with it as long as we have 4 ambulances and they're all working fine. And like you said, I'm sure we can come to some sort of agreement financially. I do think we should get something in writing, at least from your insurance company, saying that it will in fact be covered, even if we don't have a specific lease agreement between the 2 communities.
And we do have a lease agreement that went through a lot of legal review with Waterford. We can share that with the board. But when Chief called me and said what was happening, you know, I said that there's no way I could approve that without the board. But obviously, Chief was there if Waukesha needed anything, just like Waukesha is there for us. That's why it's coming. If the board is, wants to proceed. Obviously, all the insurance, the agreement information, we could bring back to the next agenda, but acting chief wanted to see how the board felt about that before we proceeded, because absolutely, I mean, I feel bad that they're in that situation, and
Well, and a lot of it also is that a lot of these occurrences are usually short-term events. There are things that may last 12, 24, maybe 48 hours because challenge getting parts now for vehicles. Getting someone to actually come out and actually perform the work is even hard. There's just a shortage of essential services for us in terms of vehicle repairs. And those are those short-term things, because it's Murphy's Law. Your ambulance is out of service for 45 minutes, you're gonna get a call in that 45 minutes. It's just how it works. And, you know, and not to sound selfish, but we rely on them as a mutual aid partner, we do a lot together. And, you know, if we don't have that resource available to us, it's probably the instance where we're gonna need it. So, and I believe in trying to help our neighbors out. We've been helped in the past by other neighbors that have lent us fire apparatus on not a very short notice, because all of a sudden, you know, a couple of rigs go down, things like that happen. I think that regionalization of cooperation is essential to the fire service in Waukesha County surviving. We have a very robust cooperative working agreement with all the departments essentially in our area, and we try to help each other as much as we can. You know, the days of taking care of a lot of things on your own are gone, just because of the drain of resources, people, everything else. So, and I think in the long run we can save the villages some money by not duplicating equipment on certain things.
On the surface, it sounds like a good idea to me. I think
And again,
shared services are an important thing.
Well, and I think that Trustee Swanee is very, very correct in the fact that there was a lot of time and a lot of effort that was expended on trying to create some partnerships. That was a very frustrating process, to say the least. But I think that this can hopefully be somewhat of a catalyst to say, hey, we can work together. There's benefit to working together, and here's what those benefits are. And I think that, you know, not that he probably wants to do this again, but I think that moving forward, the shared services discussions have to start again. They need to be a focal point for all the communities to consider, because that's what's going to let us survive in the future. Because without it, we're all fighting the same game. People, equipment, the cost of that equipment, stuff has doubled. I mean, it's ridiculous as to what we're being charged now to pay for equipment.
And I know the agreement can be worked out. I know the insurances can work it out. The only thing I was concerned about, Stoli, is you mentioned the 6-month time frame. You have no idea if your ambulance is going to come in?
This wouldn't be a continuous thing. This would be a as-needed basis.
Okay,
You
so
know,
it's 6 months, it's not the issue.
Right, yeah, it's Saturday morning, their ambulance breaks down, they don't have an ambulance, phone call happens, hey, we need an ambulance, all right. In a half hour, someone's there to pick it up, it's down there, it's put in service, now we have resources to cover both communities.
So Andrew, are you going to go to your board to tell them what happened and tell them that, you know, on the surface, the village of Vernon is willing to, you know, work out the agreement and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got no problem with Don, like I said. I mean, it was just one of those things, like, when both ambulances were down, I was obviously a lot more focused on some other things than calling village president at 1 a.m. So.
Oh, I would have called him. He called me.
No, he texted you, but I knew he was still up when I called him, so. Yeah, you know, I definitely have no problem getting that, or no problem getting something from our insurance company. We're still gonna try to get our one ambulance fixed as much as we can, because, you know, as much as we're hoping our first new ambulance comes at the beginning of the year, you know, I was originally told it was be coming this year. So it's kind of one of those things where these supply chain issues that they keep, you know, referring to just keep prolonging. So we're still gonna try to get our.
And one of their challenges that the state of Wisconsin has developed a more robust ambulance inspection program that's now been delegated to the Wisconsin State Patrol. So you can understand where that probably went. And that's caused a lot of issues for some departments, because things that should have probably been, you know, looked at for many years were never looked at, because you have one guy covering the whole state. Now there are 4 troopers assigned to it. So they're being more thorough than they've ever been. Actually, it's a totally different part of the state patrol that's actually doing it.
Arts passed though, right, Chief?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We had a couple of minor things we were corrected during the inspection, which is a good thing. But again, it's going to challenge some departments that have aged equipment. I think the fact that the board has been phenomenal about supporting us, understanding our capital replacement program for the most part, is important, because it keeps the vehicles in working order. And maintenance on vehicles is not cheap anymore. You know, we were just redoing the budget this week, and
So is State Patrol also inspecting all the fire trucks and vehicles, or just ambulances? And what's a new ambulance cost roughly today?
Well, the second one that we ordered in July, August of last year, the final price right now that I got for it, and that comes with a cot and like all those things too, was $420,000. So the last one,
We're under three.
I guess my only question is too, with sharing it with the insurance, I don't know what ours is worth. I mean, if say it gets totaled in an accident somehow, is it replacement value of a new one, or just say, oh, yours is only worth 50,000 now? You know, I don't know how that would work
Brad?
with the insurance.
Yeah, ours is, after 10 years, all our large vehicles, snowplow trucks, fire trucks, ambulances become cash value after 10 years. Replacement cost for the first 10 and then after it's cash value. There's no, in talking to the insurance company, they're not like, this is what it is. It's, the adjuster comes out, they're gonna look at what the market is saying. So, you know, to put a ballpark on what they're gonna give us.
I think the fourth was more than 10 years old.
15. It's 2008.
Our fourth one?
Yep, and just so you know that, you know, all of our ambulances are on 5 years, so every 5 years we buy a new ambulance. So we have a continual rotating, and we keep them, that keeps the value up, it keeps the reliability up, and as they age through the fleet, they take a different role. So that program worked really, really well for us.
So
So-
gentlemen, oh, I'm sorry, trustee?
One
Trustee
last
Soni?
question for me anyhow, Chief. Have we considered doing something like we did with the intercepts, where if we make the run up there, we charge them?
We already have that.
If we respond there, we transfer, we bill for the call.
Right. So what would stop us from doing the same kind of thing with, if they were short a ambulance, to call us, and we send our ambulance up there with our guys?
We could do that, it would probably be a time delay, because we're coming a little farther away than they are. And it's all dependent on staffing and time of day and everything else, but, you know,
I mean, on a short-term basis, that might be,
and that's what we did over the weekend. There were also some challenges with that, because the CAD system's not smart enough to understand how we have an agreement set up, and it caused some delays in responses, because the city of Waukesha was actually dispatched to one of their calls that we were supposed to go to. And it created a lot of discussion between the dispatchers over who's gonna actually handle the call, because Waukesha is saying, Waukesha, you know, typically doesn't wanna work with anyone on a county level of operation.
city.
The city.
I knew it was.
The dispatchers were actually arguing back and forth, well, why are we going to this call? This isn't our call. And, you know, because it's just, there's so many fingers in the cookie jar that what we had, and we had one later in the day that he basically got on the radio right away and overrode it and said, cancel the city, send Vernon. But those are delays, and, you know, obviously not to be dramatic, but seconds do count at times. And we want to just make sure that it's an efficient response.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, are you in agreement that we should proceed with working with the village? So, Stoll, you're going to contact your village board and chief, and I know Brad's working on the insurance angle, and
He took care of that right away. Brad was on the phone right away. He got that all squared away, so.
do we have the same insurance?
I don't know who's their insurance carrier.
I know they go through the Horton group, but I don't.
Oh, yeah, but it's not the same. That's what, but Horton's, they're all used to that agreement.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can either get you a copy of our policy or a letter from the insurance company.
Yeah, there probably won't be much issue with it, because we would have had Horton at the time when we were working with Waterford, they probably had our carriers.
And I know when we did it with Waterford, the insurance companies exchanged their certificates of insurance and add this, take out that, so I know they'll handle all that. But you know, when the chief said what situation you were in, you know, I said, well, if you can supply mutual aid, I said, we'll get it to the board to see what the board thinks, because obviously that board makes that decision.
And obviously, Carrie, just for a little clarification, when he first called you Friday afternoon, I wasn't expecting the troubles that Friday night was going to be. So, yeah,
Surprise.
Friday night, Saturday morning, I was a lot more,
The phone call was, you're not gonna believe this one. So,
Yeah.
but, you know, and again, that's how things tend to happen. It's just, it is what it is, and we can help each other out, it's a plus. We do it with fires, EMS calls, this is just another form of that mutual aid, so to speak. And again, I don't think they're looking to get anything for free. We'll work out an agreement with, cost sharing for some maintenance and things like that, to pay for that
Right.
availability, and we'll make it work.
Trustee Finch?
Yeah, I was wondering, do we need a motion on this?
I think by consensus, we're all agreeing that we have no problem entering into agreement and addressing the insurance issues, but bring it to your board, Stoli, to see what they say, and then tell them that we have a shared service committee up and ready to, in fact, I'll email them.
I think, and honestly, I think
Ready to-
the phone call that
ready to
needs happen
pounce.
sooner than later.
I'll be on the phone tomorrow, Stoli.
Again, I feel the pain that Jim had.
Oh, what Jim went through, and Carl.
Went through for the investment in time. I think the reward is definitely there to help, all our communities out. It's just trying to get everyone to the table and agree on something. We thought we had an agreement with another community, and then 11th hour was kind of backed out.
Yep.
So, I think if we can show, and we have shown, in other areas that we can work together, it's a plus. It helps every citizen out.
I agree. All right, guys, we're good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Okay, so gentlemen, the next agenda item is legal services requested by the village board. We talked about this, and we wanted to make clear, just so John knows what we want done from him. And the first agenda item is village board. John reviews the village board agendas and plan commission, but on one of the bills he was reviewing fire commission agendas. What agendas do you want the attorney?
Just agendas. On this first one, you have agendas and minutes.
Oh, yeah, first agendas. We'll just do the agendas and then we'll go to minutes.
Because I don't think we need minutes, but
Yeah,
that's-
I agree with you. I don't think he should do, board and plan commission agendas, but not the fire commission and public health and safety. This last bill had a fire commission one on there.
It's either half the time on the board agenda, it's a policy decision. There's really, I guess it depends more on the agenda if we need his input on anything.
Oh, yeah, you mean like his review of everything?
Yeah, because no use getting his reply back. It's a policy decision on everything. Like, why'd we pay you $30 to tell us that? So I think it's more of a,
You agree? It's whatever you think, because he just needs to know what we want done.
Well, I know when I was chair, he caught several instances where what we had on the agenda could have gotten us in trouble if we hadn't had his feedback ahead of time.
granted, there's times when we're going to need his feedback.
It just depends
but
on.
I think it depends on the agenda too, or if it's a pretty
Right.
simple agenda, nothing complicated, between Brad and President Shu here can say, nah, we really don't need his input on this. I'd be fine with, their discretion.
Now, when you have your Friday conference calls, assuming they're still on Fridays, does he already have a copy of the agenda?
Yes.
So that you're,
Right. Thursday, we do it now on Thursdays. And that's the issue too, is there's two. There's two reviews of board meetings and there's two reviews of plan commission.
We'll just one review of board meeting, but there's four total each month, so two board and then plan commission is one. 2 weeks prior, 1 week prior.
So there's two reviews of the plan commission agenda, which I don't think
Plan
is.
commission can get complicated at times.
yeah.
But I would think on the first review, when Sean's got all the comment, everything's in. If he finds something that's wrong there, boy, we should know it when he's going through his, why he would have to do it twice.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. That I don't think we need. I absolutely think, unless it's something that's so simple, if it's all discussion, I wouldn't ask for, a legal review of things that are just policy that we're probably gonna send.
But we would have to have a policy that says, at the administrative clerk's discretion or whoever, whether it be yours or his, discretion, send all pertinent agendas to the town attorney
Right.
for review. But, some verbiage that would allow you not to send it. If you say, hey, well, there's nothing on here of any legal consequence,
Well, and the other thing too, which we've cleaned up quite a bit, is when we do an agenda, it's pretty solid. Where before, if, change,
Yeah.
it's like $30, 30,
But we shouldn't be doing adjustments to agendas anyhow, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, it's usually we send the, a version for the meeting, and then when we're talking to the meeting, if there's changes on the agenda, we're making those changes. And then, usually, if there's changes in there, I'm gonna send it to Karen and say, hey, are we good with this? And then I'll send it to John and say, here's the final agenda. And then the comments are made on the agenda, so it's not, hey, Karen, how does this look? Is it good? And then I send him it, or here's some changes and things like that. It's there, it's done.
So do we agree, gentlemen? The only agendas we want John to be looking at this point is Plan Commission and Village Board, correct?
Correct.
And anything else that's requested by the board.
Oh, absolutely. Anything, if there's a board action, absolutely. That trumps everything else. Now, minutes, how do you feel about reviewing?
I don't
anything?
see the point in him reviewing our minutes.
No.
I mean, it's just something he can do about it anyhow,
Neither do I.
Me too.
right?
So and the only reason I'm asking is this will have a clear indication, John, you look at this, don't look at this, so he knows. Okay, so we're canceling minutes. Okay, legal comments, we just talked about, the legal comments that go in e-packets. For now, gentlemen, should we just kind of watch that? And if you feel it's not beneficial, we could always revisit it but that kind of goes with the review of the agendas, that, his comments for the e-packets. I mean, if you don't feel it's beneficial, you got to let me know.
He's reviewing the whole e-packet or just the agenda
Well,
for that meeting?
Well, he is reviewing the information whenever we do our cursory review of Plan Commission or Village Board.
Yeah.
He's not doing a legal review, because there's contracts in there and he's not looking at it. And he'll say in his comments, please let me know if you want a legal review, and the board lets him know.
Okay.
I just don't want to see him reading the e-packet for an hour and getting billed for it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He does read the planner comments, which we want him to do for Plan Commission, because there have been times, I know that John's caught things that, Sean's not an attorney, so should we just kind of monitor that? I mean, if you think it's a problem, let me know, but we'll just continue his comments on the Plan Commission and board, or what do you think, Jim?
Well, I don't see the value in him going through our e-packet personally. Now, if we're talking the Plan Commission, that's a different story. That's a given.
Okay,
But by him already reviewing the agenda, that's the topics. He knows what the topics are. He doesn't have to go to the e-packets to know anymore.
right, because if there's something in the e-packet that the board wants him to review, you make a motion to that effect.
Right.
Right.
Does that sound good? All right. Village accounts payable.
Why would that go to,
Yeah, why
We got charged for it last month.
why? Why was he
I don't
look
know,
at
but
it
I
for?
think we should tell him we don't need you to
No.
review APs.
no,
Okay. Board memorandum. I wrote a memorandum in the e-packet, and he charged almost $300 to read that memorandum.
well, don't write any memorandum.
I know, but I saw that. It's like for the,
Save us money, Karen.
How long was that memorandum?
it was a long one. But I'm going to have no memorandums. I mean,
Well, this goes back to the thing, like, if it's something we as a board want him to review.
oh, absolutely.
This could go under that. So if, we say, oh, this is big deal, so let's send it to him.
Yeah, just because it's
Oh,
not on
just-
the agenda, if anything, the board wants legal review, you
Right.
have that prerogative.
Right.
That would trump anything that is a policy issue. I just want to make it clear to John, please don't do this, please do this, please do that.
But it would take the majority of the board to agree,
Absolutely.
Right,
not just,
right. I think that's a good plan.
Oh, we got charged for oath of office. Do you want him reviewing oath of office?
no.
Okay. Notice of public hearings. I know, Brad, you kind of used them in the beginning just to be sure. Are you comfortable? Are you working with Sean?
Mostly with Sean, the comprehensive plan amendment one, he did review, but I think
Isn't that part of the planning commission?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, it's.
that's where it's gotta start, right? Is-
Yeah, it's all, that's language and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, the public notice, public hearing notice we've been doing for the accessory structure, stuff like that, that's just been Sean and I. And then with the comprehensive plan notice that we're gonna run this week, will be run the next month. That one I sent to Sean, and Sean and I got it to a point where we're both agreeable, and then sent it to John so that it wasn't.
That's a little more tricky. That's not an easy public notice. The
I would
compliment,
think it would be almost boilerplate.
if the statutes didn't change, it would be, you know, but yeah, if there's statutory changes,
And we haven't done one in 4 years, I think
well,
2019.
19 we did one, yeah, a bigger comp, yeah, the last one was all around the village of Big Bend when we were still in town. So, you know, the interesting thing, here's the trick, is you look at the public notice he does for this one, and then look at the one we did for the town, and that'll tell you the change, so, okay, and that, the review of items requested by the village board, that's a given. Anytime the village board wants something done, you do that. And then the other one, allow administrative clerk to send village concerns for legal review. Do you have any issues? I'm sure Brad won't abuse that, but how do you feel about,
Well, that's where I was headed with, I didn't realize it was on there. An agenda that doesn't have any legal ramifications, you should have the authority not to send it to them. You don't have to send them every agenda. And now this one here, this is saying, on the other hand, he has the authority to send whatever he thinks we need.
right?
He's going to answer for it, because if we don't agree with it, when it comes up to the
Right.
time of the bill, we're going to speak to him about it.
Right. Does anybody have an issue with that?
I don't.
And the last item is always been a given. If a board member chooses to, we've always had that policy. If a board member needs to contact the attorney, unless it becomes abusive, you have that right. You agree with that, gentlemen?
I don't know. I'd rather either talk to Brad or you first, saying, hey, what's,
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was thinking too.
yeah,
You guys, you can always, call me, you don't have to, you can call John first. The League of Municipalities is another resource, but they'll give you some advice, but they might have been like the town association, always default to say talk to your local attorney.
Well, and that would make them mad if you'd call, but Claire she's good. The lead attorney they have a lot of good attorneys here, and they're real helpful, I think, but,
I don't think I would ever call John for anything on legal, unless
Right.
I ran it past you two anyways.
yeah.
I might know what's going on, the whole board, I'd ask the whole board.
Unless perhaps you thought they were doing something wrong.
Well, yeah, that's true.
oh,
You know,
Brad,
that-
on his
that maybe-
gambling?
Well, naturally.
I already talked to Tom tonight.
But, I mean, that'd be probably the only reason,
Yeah.
at least in my mind.
I mean, you can call me, you don't have to call me, you can call John, that's why you guys are elected officials too.
You can call me and I'll tell you to call Brad.
Yeah, I think I would either talk to a board member or you two first before I'd ever contact Macy, just to see if I'm on track here or something, or to be
Yeah.
worried about it, or, whatever it was, but yeah.
And as Karen knows, most of the time when we have our calls with John, that's when.
Yeah, we store things. Things I want to ask him about. I know Brad's asking me to kind of store them for when we're doing,
I know there's a good time I can get, you have John's attention, you're not trying to fit into a schedule somewhere, so that's usually where those questions come up more, it might not be an agenda topic, but then it's, hey, I got this or I got that, where are we at with it, what's going on, or what can we do?
I know too, if there's a parole issue, I know Brad would call right away, because when you start dealing with that stuff, I always called John and usually Carl right away to let him know, boy, we got one I've never heard of before, and man, those are touchy situations, so. Not that happens often. All right, gentlemen, are we good? All righty. So at this point in time, I'd like to appoint Tom Tomasek for a 2-year term on the Vernon Finance Committee from April 30th, 2023 to April 30th, 2025. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Trustee Slaney. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And at this point, I'd like to appoint trustee Dylan Newman for a one-year term on the Vernon Finance Committee from April 30th, 2023 to April 30th, 2024. And the reason that I'm only doing a one-year term is, to match his service, and then we would do the 2 years if you continue.
And I'll second that.
All righty, is there any discussion on that motion?
I'll abstain.
Oh.
Obviously.
Probably should, yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Four yeses and one abstention. And I just wanted to put on the agenda that, of course, I'd like to serve on the Finance Committee, and I obviously have Brad as our facilitator liaison of the Finance Committee, but I did not want to be placed on the committee because I'm still talking to Tom, and I don't want to violate the open meetings law. So if I'm not on the committee, I can talk to him. Yes.
Could you run the finance committee as a meeting?
Oh, yeah, the next one is going to be a finance and board.
Okay.
I really would like that, but I just wanted to let you know,
But-
I need 2 more volunteers. I'm sorry, trustee Solani?
Just addressing what you just said. You don't need 2 more volunteers necessarily, because the statute says you can appoint up to 5. Doesn't say you have to have 5.
But if Tom and I are on the committee together, anytime we talk, it's a violation. If there's 3 people,
Not when you, but you and Tom is not 3 people.
yeah, if there's only 3 people on the committee, that's a quorum of the committee.
Oh, if there's only 3 people.
That's why I want 5. That way I can talk to Tom, because I know last year that, because even if you talk, you'd be violating when there's only 3 people. And I know,
I have no problem being on the committee because even though they take up, there's so many meetings, they get the budget in order. I find it really beneficial to know where the money's going and how we're spending it. And
all righty. So now, gentlemen, I'm looking for one more, so if you know of somebody, Gary, you want to be on it?
Sure.
Okay. Well, then we have a
There you
It'll
go.
be finance and board all the time, which is fine. And Jim, you're welcome to come and.
It's
You
such
can-
a far hike for him, you know.
You can bring the donuts.
Inconvenience him.
But gentlemen, seriously, after the 20th, if you could bring your calendars to the next meeting, because I really would like to do a meeting during the day. If you can do that, Dylan, can you ever do day meetings or?
Yeah,
Brad?
depends on the day, but I should be able to make it work.
Okay.
afternoons are always better than mornings for me.
Afternoon, okay. Did we vote on that last one? We voted for Dylan. And then Gary and Jeff will put you guys on the next board meeting and then
Okay.
get you appointed. Does that sound good?
And put yourself on it then as well.
Yes, yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Hey,
All right, gentlemen. So we are on M, Center, here we go, Brad. Center Drive Bridge Design and Contract Amendment 2. I saw both out there for the last week.
Yeah. So we've been out there doing work. This is, so amendment number 2. Amendment number 1 is there is a box on the application or the agreement that.
Turn your mic on.
On the agreement that just need to be changed. That'll be amendment number 1, no financials related to amendment number 1. Amendment number 2, they were doing the borings, soil borings, and when they were doing I believe it's the north one, if you read the email, the north one, when they were doing the borings, they attempted multiple times to do the boring, were only be able to successfully get down 5 to 6 feet before they hit an obstruction that didn't allow them to get any deeper there. So what they did is they reached out to the state and asked them if if they needed to continue to do that boring per the contract. They do need that boring. So in order to do that, they had to amend the contract to increase the price to do this additional boring. My speculation is there's probably an old pier or abutment for one of the first bridges that was there that they're running into.
That's
So,
probably where the concrete form broke and it all spilled out.
as you saw, I think the estimate was for like an additional $11,000. That estimate was very conservative to make sure to cover all bases. It may not come in at that. We're on the hook for 20% of that. With that, I mean, we'll have to potentially at least 20% of that. But we've been successful getting change orders and increases through the state covered. So they will, we're still on that, but this is one of the things we're at least on the hook for 20%. They need it. In the other email, they noted that they did a boring down to 60 feet before they hit soil that was suitable for support of a bridge. So we'll see what comes of that, but, you know, the good thing is that we have gotten 100% coverage on construction of the bridge, so that is, you know, the main expense of the project, or where the main bulk of the village's liability will come from, that is now covered.
Question. In the packet, it said that the design has changed from a 2-lane to a 3-lane, which is why they need the extra boring hole.
Yeah.
Why are we making it a 3-lane bridge when we only have a 2-lane road?
It's, I think, what you're referring to is a 3-span bridge, instead of, right now, our-
Yeah, that's what it says, 3-span.
Yeah.
I read that as 3
yeah,
lanes.
so it'd just be three spans, so instead of doing, right now, there's one, support in the middle, and then you have girders that go out to the abutments, and what they're talking about doing is doing, 2 supports in the river, so there'll be shorter spans, there, so with that, that's where they have to do the additional testing, and part of that too was, driven by the DNR, if I recall, because of how the river meanders there, that's what they were looking for, is to keep the bridge abutments, or, you know, supports out of the main channel, which then helps eliminate or alleviate erosion issues, undermining of those supports, over the life of the bridge.
Discussion, any questions? Anything else, Brad?
Nope, that's it.
Is that Matt out there from FOTH that's been doing all the monitoring?
I don't know.
God, he's been out there all week long. Have you seen him, Jim? Okay, newsletter article.
So if we can just, if you guys are good, or if you want to bring it back, we just need, you guys will just give me approval to sign when the state requests it.
Do you want a motion to that effect?
Yeah.
Is there a motion to authorize the administrator clerk to sign the second amendment for the Center Bridge design contract? Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second to the motion? Further discussion?
Yeah, does that have to go to our attorney?
I don't think so.
I mean,
This is all state contract stuff, and it's just an amendment to the original contract for the borings. So the state's reviewed it, it's pretty much boilerplate. John did review the overall agreement that we had for the design work, and I don't think there was a ton of tweaks to it at the end
There's
of
not,
the
they
day.
won't do a lot.
So,
I know.
so, I mean, if you guys want to,
Yeah.
my recommendation is we probably not necessarily need
I didn't want to, I just
Right.
wanted to make sure we make a conscientious decision not to.
Right. Good job.
Is that,
Perfect. So we did vote on that. All in favor of the, okay, so now we're on newsletter articles. Brad, do you want to,
So, first newsletter, scheduled to go out September, beginning of September, means we have to get it to the,
I don't think we actually voted on that. I think we just
okay.
had a.
Yeah, motion moved by
second.
trustee Swanee and seconded by trustee Newman. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Newsletter articles, Brad, you said it's coming out in September.
the beginning of September, so that means we have to have it to the printer, middle of August. So what kind of timeline would be is if you guys can let me know if you guys would like to have an article in there, so we can plan. If not, then I can start working with the staff to fill the other parts of the newsletter up, with articles. So if you guys just let me know, my plan would be is I'll kind of have a template layout for you guys at the next meeting, and then, hopefully we can approve it at the August 3rd meeting and then get it to the printer.
So you'd have something, whatever, so if a board member has something, should they get it to you by, if you're doing something on the 20th, when do you want them to have their articles?
If you could have your articles, I mean, if you have them done by the 20th, that's great, but like I said, I think traditionally in the past, my understanding is the village boards approve the newsletter prior to sending it to publication. My hope would be is to have it to you guys, for final approval on the 3rd of all. Here's the final newsletter, this is what we're sending to the printer. So, I mean, if you guys want to get it to me sooner rather than later, but if you guys can just let me know that you're going to have an article, then I can at least pencil in a spot in the newsletter for it so that I know what we have, how much room we have to fill.
I will not.
Oh,
I will not also.
Okay.
I will.
Just so you know.
I might do something about the raffle for the fire department.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have article ideas or articles or something you think we should write about, please feel free to email me, or you can tell me now or whatever. But I mean, we'll try to cover something for building inspection, something for DPW.
How many pages, Brad?
I think it's 12 pages, so it's about
And how much advertising?
it's about 8.5 full pages of writing.
Okay.
That's so 4 pages or 4.5 pages front and back. We'll try to fill something with the building inspections, some about elections.
How about the new bridge?
We'll talk about bridge. I think if you guys want.
I talked to Mike Zolecki, he's gonna have a full
Yeah.
page of everything for the next
Yeah.
year in one page, even if he repeats it and repeats it. So he'll take up a whole
Park
page.
and Rec and.
Yeah,
stuff
but not
like-
all that, not all the
And
the
if-
forms.
And if you're gonna write stuff, I'll talk to you about what you're
Yep.
writing, and then we'll make sure that, if there's anything else that's important, and my goal will be is to kind of come back with a summary of, here's what, not necessarily the articles, but building
Right.
inspections, DPW, clerk's office, treasurer's office,
Brad,
fire
are you doing an
department.
article? We need a picture of you.
I don't think I'll be writing any articles.
We'll see about that.
Brad, you wanna add anything else you need to tell the board, or?
No, that's it. So like I said, any ideas, or if you strike up the need to want to write, let me know.
So
Okay.
Brad, but once shooting for September, when would the next one come out after that?
Quarterly, we would be looking at, that would put us at like a December.
Okay, the only reason I ask is, man, we have to emphasize on the tax bill to bring your whole, that sounds petty, but poor Citizens Bank, they're not gonna this year
Yep.
for the newsletter, so we gotta tell them they have to bring their whole tax bill in because they're not gonna make copies, they're just gonna stamp it. So if they don't bring in their whole tax bill in, it causes a lot of grief for them,
Yeah.
so we'll just try to keep educating.
At the bank, you mean?
Yeah,
You said quarterly. I thought we were only doing this spring and fall.
that's what we did before, but you changed it.
Yeah, so they will print for us quarterly at the fee that they've told us. So,
Oh, okay.
and I mean, if we probably, if you guys really are, I think December 1st newsletter would probably be really good because it's good to get out with tax bills, and then I think spring sports and stuff like that may line up good, and
Well, I talked to him, he's gonna do, just in case anything goes wrong, he's gonna do the whole year. And you can
Yeah.
always think that, but at least they have it, they have the dates, and
They have a
it'll take up a
calendar, yeah.
page, Does that sound good, guys? Good, Brad?
yep.
And I know people made fun of the dog poop thing, but we do get credit for our stormwater report. So I will do something stormwater, because I know anytime we do that report, I know people say, well, how can we put dog poop? We get credit for putting that, I mean, nobody in Vernon lets their dog poop in, but that's because we have a newsletter. That's
right.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Brad, did you need to add
Nope.
anything else? All right, gentlemen, now we're jumping right into reports. Do you want
Do
to
we need
hear?
to go back to see to avoid that?
That one does not have to be voided.
Okay.
That we're fine, and then Michael will have to come at a different time if he wants to dispute charges, because, but, he's got a bunch of kids, so, I don't know what happened, but.
Doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
would not be in favor.
Brett, did you want to do your report so you can report and get out of here?
Sure.
Brett Bartel's our DPW director. Brett, you're on, and then we'll do you guys. Is that okay?
Road paving started yesterday, actually. They came in, they got Hartwig, Lakeview Court, Lakeview Lane, Lakeside Drive, all pulverized, graded, and we proof rolled those roads today. Everything's solid, so as of right now, we remain on schedule as we put out in the letter. He believes he's gonna start paving with binder on Tuesday already. And we plan on doing more proof rolling tomorrow, around 12:30, probably to do the rest of the roads. He thinks he's gonna have everything else pulverized and graded by tomorrow afternoon, so. That's our schedule so far. If there's some soft spots, obviously, we'll have to do some undercutting and stuff, and it might push paving back some in some spots, but he said, as long as they remain small and whatnot, he'll be able to start paving Tuesday still, and they'll work around whatever we're doing at the same time, so. We're staying on schedule with everything. I have a bunch of stone back there. I got about 460 ton ready for shouldering. Roadside mowing, almost all the mains are done. Yep, we did center early on. It's already growing again.
I was gonna say, it needs to be cut again.
Yeah, and so yeah, but he just finished up like over on high low and stuff. We had a weld break on it. We actually just re-welded that together today, so that'll be back out again. But yeah, that's been out every day, and pretty much on track with everything that we got going right now.
Brett, when does your new guy come in?
He started yesterday also. The mechanic started yesterday. He actually welded the thing together today and gone through paperwork and stuff yesterday for the most part, walking around, showing him around. Grabbed his toolbox. He brought a rolling toolbox in, and so it was only his second day, but he already got into some welding and stuff like that today, so. But yeah, otherwise, like I said, everything's on track and going well, so I don't have much else a concern.
Trustee Slaney?
Thank you. Just like you to consider something. I've asked this several times in the past, not to you, Brett, but in the past. When I see our lawnmower driving up the road all the way over to the next park to cut, as opposed to getting put on a trailer and just run up there. It just, I don't know why, it just irritates the heck out of me.
Me too.
I just think that's bad for the mower, now, that's just me. So I need you to consider that. And then the other thing is, the last 2 weeks, I've seen that being followed by the golf cart, or whatever.
The club car, yeah.
What?
So I'm gonna be honest with you, with the high school kids, they've been getting done almost everything I ask. So I like go check what they do, but I don't necessarily am always on them about how they're doing it. And that's just me being honest, that I'm not micromanaging them. I feel like they're getting done what I ask them to do in a timely fashion as of right now. So I haven't micromanaged. I have seen them loaded on a trailer once or twice to take it like over to fire too. That I've had them mow once or twice, but for some reason I have noticed they do drive it down the road if I'm driving out. But I can make a point to tell them to trailer it, and
Yeah,
that's not a
because-
problem.
Is that even legal to drive your lawnmower down the road?
There should probably be an orange triangle on the back, and if that was the case, then yeah, it would be fine. But without the orange triangle, it's probably, I'm not really certain how that would
I agree
pan
with you,
out.
Jim.
I'm not sure if Ward would give us a ticket for it, but
Probably not a speeding one anyhow.
No.
it goes pretty good. I've driven it a couple times. That thing
Does it?
feels like you're going pretty fast for on a lawnmower.
Yeah, that's the problem. Time you hook the trailer up, get it loaded, you can almost drive it without doing all that, be almost there.
Yeah.
The only thing
Yeah.
I'd be worried about is, sorry to cut you off, is those kids not knowing how to hook up a trailer right. And it,
Like I said, I have seen them
tie it
trailer
down.
a few times, but it's mostly
that,
going to fire two.
yeah.
I don't know if they've trailered it to fire one or not. But he is right. I have seen him drive it down there plenty of times too. And then take the club car with the.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but
The other one's taking the weed whacker up there, is what it is.
Oh,
'Cause
oh.
I usually have them take turns,
Sure.
however they wanna do it. And like I said, I haven't seen a need to micromanage them at this point. I ask them to empty the garbages, all the garbages have been emptied. I ask them to mow something, they get it done. So it's just been they've been getting done what I ask them to.
Anything else, gentlemen? Brett, you're excused.
Thank
You have a good night. Thanks, Brett, for all your
too.
hard work.
Brett.
Let's see. Let's jump right into it. Trustee Slaney, do you have a report or announcement, or
no.
Trustee Finch?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing? Trustee Newman? Nothing? Trustee Millies?
Just like to say the rain missed us again yesterday. Things are really dry. Be careful burning.
Yeah.
Also, at the course, we have a big outbreak of gypsy moth. The caterpillars are really defoliating the oak trees. So if you see your oaks looking bad, that's probably what's going on.
Okay.
Jeez.
Excuse me. Are those the tent ones?
Those aren't tent worms. Those are gypsy.
You look at the caterpillar, there's blue and red spots on them. Those are the caterpillars for the gypsy moth.
And they're fuzzy,
Yeah.
and they're naughty.
Actually, they changed the name of them to spongy moth or something too. I think the gypsies found it offensive or
Probably. A gypsy found in the fence.
I don't know, but yeah, they changed the name, so I don't know what the reason was.
That's fun.
Let's
That's
see.
good.
Let's see. Brad, do you have a report? Clerk, Administrator, Clerk?
We've been working on finances, the paving project, still working on Diamond Communications, and that's it.
Thanks, Brad. And this is the treasurer's report for November. Did she say why she didn't come?
Nobody requested her, so I didn't tell her
Well,
she.
I sent her an email.
Well, okay. Either I missed your email or.
That's fine.
Go.
Let's see. The fire department and sheriff's department will put on next month because I haven't gotten those reports. Oh, and I just wanted to report, I've been working with the DNR on 2 special projects. I worked with the DOT and the DNR on the one on the fire station. I'm working with Waukesha County on another report, and I'm working on trying to get some funding for broadband because so much of our community does not have internet services, and there's a lot of money there. It's more our rural, there's no internet down Guthrie, there's no internet down Maple, there's no internet, down a lot of roads. So if you have to partner with Spectrum, so just so you know, that's something I'd like to work on for our residents that don't have internet. Alrighty, guys, and so now we're jumping into accounts payable. And Brad, you're gonna kill me. But Brad, on the Spectrum, the one for 569, that's coded to the fire department, that's a village bill.
Yep.
Also, on accurate appraisal, I know we did March and April. The next APs, we're doing May and June for the assessors, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll have to look at the bills, but.
okay. And Amazon, we also coded the fire department for village supplies. I can give you a copy of this. And then on Airmark, I know it's not a big deal, but the mats are 2271 and the rest goes to DPW. Those, we can all pay the bills, guys, they just need journal entries to correct those. I mean, the bills are right. And then on the Foth bill, there was a charge for on the April Foth bill, there was a charge for $70.50 for a property on National Avenue. Shouldn't we be charging that back? And then Walters Way had a charge for $56.40 that the village was picking up the tab,
It was probably about the developer's agreement for Walters Way. And
but that should be charged back to him.
Okay.
And that, I don't know who the national,
Presbyterian Church was like just a general question.
oh, for Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, and then on those 2 bills, are you tracking all those Center Drive charges?
Yeah, we will.
Okay, because I just wanted to make, and then on the May 4th bill, there was a Studer, a bill
Yep.
for $42.30. That
Yep.
should be charged back.
Yep.
Okay, and then the Janiking was charged, that should be charged to the janitorial account. It should be the 70 account, not the general maintenance. And then on the litigation, the declaration of restrictions for Norris for 105, that should be charged back to them, not us. And then, the May bill for those charges for the remand here, the second, not the remand, the second. Are you sending that to Andrew, that they pick up all those legal charges?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
follow up with them.
I just wanted to, and then the professional communication, we had a problem with our phone lines, and that was charged to the fire department, so we just have to change that to charge, because that wasn't the fire department, it was us that had the problem, right? And then, did somebody void out the Sadowski check that we reissued for a tax? It must be,
I can go in and do it.
Okay. And then the last one, The last one, that's all I, that's all the questions. I mean, the bills should be paid. They just have to be little corrections, little journal, but the amounts are fine. Jeff, did anybody have anything? Any other?
The only thing I had was, is that, I can't remember the number, is that all of the numbers or all of the costs for Workhorse?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, the only other fees that will come up for Workhorse is just the annual fees for support.
Okay.
And there'll be, basically, there'll be a portal fee for, payroll, but the annual support.
Is that portal fee annual?
Yep. It's based on how many time cards are entered,
Right.
so.
Further discussion? Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount, because we do have some manual checks, the amount of $148,399.20?
What, 148 what?
$148,399.20.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then we have two manual checks that Brad highlighted. One was for We Energies, and the other one was for Centurion, in the full amount of $319.49 for manual checks. I'll make that motion. Is there a motion to second my motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Oh, the last quick thing we have to do is the ACH transaction approvals. We have the main checking account for $120,564.46. Is there a motion to approve that ACH transactions for January?
That's for January?
January of 2023.
Here we are.
It looks like this. It's in your packet. It's in your e-packet. And then so are the bank statements.
I don't know if I got my e-packet.
I'll make the motion to approve. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion. Discussion, gentlemen?
Why are we just doing January
That's all.
on ACH? That's like automatic stuff.
Yeah, but we have a policy that also ACH, I mean, you should really see them and approve them because they're expenditures that you have not approved. And when you do this, you're actually looking at them and approving them, just like you would in a check.
Yeah, I understand how that works. I'm still asking why it's just a January bill.
Because that's as far as we are on we haven't done the February, March, April, May, June. I can get them done by next board meeting, the ACH transaction approvals.
Well, are you saying that we've not paid those?
No, those are, what I'm saying is the village, the staff has already paid those. And what you're doing is approving what the staff, it's all payroll. It's the taxes, the deferred compensation, the Wisconsin retirement. It's all things, most of them are all related to payroll.
That pretty much happens
And
automatic,
payroll.
yes?
And payroll, but you really should approve payroll and,
No, again, I understand the process. I was just flabbergasted that we've actually paid it and we never approved it.
yeah.
What you're saying.
Usually they're more timely. And the other thing that's really weird this time, and I put them in so you guys are aware of it, the transactions for LifeQuest.
Yes.
I've never, and I'm trying to get, because I thought they agreed they would never take anything out of that account.
From what I gathered out of that email
Chain.
chain,
Yeah.
it sounded like they're saying they didn't take anything out.
Yeah, they're still just so you know, they're still getting to the bottom of it because they said Hometown changed their bank. And I said, well, then you need to bring us another agreement because we agreed with Hometown, not their new bank. So I just wanted you to see, when I saw that, I wanted you to be aware of what they did.
Okay.
And they said that the person's payment defaulted. Well, that's fine, but that's not our agreement, so.
Right.
And then even the tax collection thing also, I mean, it was all, but I wanted you to see what happened and approve those, those transactions also.
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine.
So I have a motion made and seconded, and we're on the ACH transaction for the main checking account in amount of $120,564.46. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next one is on the tax collection. We're just approving that we saw the $11,407.97 in the tax collection account. I'll make that motion to approve. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Trustee Slaney, second. Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. And the last was the LifeQuest one, just so that you guys are aware of it, and I'm still getting to the bottom of it. Is there a motion? I'll make the motion to approve the ACH transaction for $1,277.40 from the LifeQuest bank statement. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Discussion. Again, as soon as I get that answer, or if we need a new agreement, I'll bring that back to the board, because as soon as I saw it, I said, hey, you're not supposed to do that.
That's right.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Brad, we're gonna hold off on minutes to the next meeting, correct, sir?
They should all been in the packet.
I didn't get any, did you get
I
minutes?
didn't get any minutes.
They should have been in the main packet.
It's not in here.
I saw them in the main packet today.
You saw them?
I didn't see them before. Did you put them in today?
No, the final packet was posted on like Monday, and the only thing that was added on Monday from the one that was originally sent out was the last 2 minutes, 15th and 26th. And those were in on Monday afternoon, along with the village attorney's comments.
Shoot, I didn't even see
They
it.
would have been at the way end of, they're always try to put the packets in order of how they are on the agenda.
I don't think I have them.
Well, you're looking in emails. You said packet.
Oh, packet, okay.
Jim, you gotta be nice.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
A lot of times
I
the packet.
apologize. That wasn't
A
right.
lot of times the packets attached to them, see?
Is anybody ready? I feel
No.
like you're, let's just hold off, Brad.
They're ready,
Is that
so yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And then you don't have to
remember
put them
seeing it
in.
either.
At this point, just wanted to let the public know that we're going to meet on July 12th with a joint Plan Commission and Board meeting. And Jim, I know you can't make it because of another, obligation. And then July 20th, we have a village board meeting. And at this point, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there- Any discussion? I'd like to discuss it. No, I'm kidding. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Yeah,
It's once we've reached the 2
Little
hour
trooper.
mark that my attention span starts to
Wayne.
drift. My attention starts to drift.
Yeah, Jim, Brad's gonna, you'll put that on, and then we'll have the e-packets ready. What I told him to do is, get that original map, and if Brad can't find it, I want to find it.
Start reading Tuesday now. We're starting to black
I haven't-
roads, watch.
I haven't seen what we're looking at now.
I'll resend it out. There was at least, I know there was one version that had bigger lots at ours than what is now been,
But
than
then
the-
Carl went to another meeting with them, and they came up with because they were, back then when we got the second one, they were still pushing to have a road go all the way through on National, cut through in National,
yeah, that's not.
and that's not gonna happen.
All right, everybody have a good night.